At this point, I think this is the last one that they're going to do, and then they're going to start caulking. The square tapered column, we're just using a white latex, acrylic, whatever you can get, caulking, and then smoothing it out. As far as the column, river rock column underneath, when we use the caulking for temporal installations, it is going to be a gray caulking. It's a mortar caulk, basically. Again, an acrylic latex will work fine. After that point, it's then going to be dealt with some of our Hydrocele. It's a cementatious paint that you'll put right on top of the gray caulking, wet on wet. So again, once all the fasteners are employed, you're then tasked with covering them up so you don't see them. The only fasteners that you got to worry about on the river rock column are in the grout joint, which is Skylar's caulking right now. You've got your screw holes there, and you're trying to caulk that joint to where you don't have that depth of that crack. Again, this is a gray caulking, but it's a lot lighter than our Hydrocele, which is used to grout, in essence, after we've stained it here at the factory. Notice he covered up the screw head there. There's two other screws on each half that I want to bring your attention to. Remember those ones at the bottom. Those are countersunk, so now we need to caulk over those as well. So those are the only screws that you should have on the river rock column, is the 3 on the sides and the 2 on each side on the bottom. And then of course this joint needs to be caulked. Once this caulk has been applied, and then you'll see him smooth it out with his finger, which is the best tool we found. Again, keeping a clean rag and a bucket of water so you can keep your finger clean, it helps out a lot. And notice that there is a little bit getting on the sides of the rock. When he gets all done, smoothing it out with his finger, he'll come back with a rag that he's washed in a bucket and make sure that there's no caulking on the side of those rocks. Again, in this particular instance, being as the model home, this is bound to be uninstalled. So when it is, this will be something you can cut with a razor knife and take the two halves apart, take the screws out. If it were a permanent installation, I would be more apt to use a grout. It's a texture mix that we sell by the bucket. And then after that, the texture when dried would not look like the grout that we've used, which is the Hydrocele. After we're done staining it, we get stain in the grout lines. So we have to come back and paintbrush in a Hydrocele, which is to make it look like a grout colored cement. Texture mix will not look the same as the grout that we have there now. So that's why you would use a texture mix, and then after that texture mix had set up a bit, then you could Hydrocele, like we're going to Hydrocele over this gray caulking. This gray caulking would stand out, and we don't want it to stand out. We don't want anyone to know that this is two halves. It should look like a masonry contractor came out, laid these stones one at a time, and it's not a system. It's not fake. It's real. That's what we're shooting for. So again, in this particular case, this is just the means to fill the holes of the screw holes and the gap between the two columns. After this is set up, I don't even want it to set up. This particular day was a hot day, so we were able to, right after it tacked up, in minutes, it was 90 degrees out. We were in full sun. You'll see him as soon as he's done doing this, Shek comes behind him and is doing the Hydrocele right on top of that with a little paintbrush. Again, the Hydrocele is a cementatious paint that is waterborne. It's just an add water mix. You've already got the polymer in it. So it's going to be an acrylic similar to the acrylic that we're using as the caulk. So the two are going to bond. And in fact, you'll see in moments after he's done Hydroceling how good it looks. Now this is the cementatious Hydrocele. Notice the little paintbrush. I think we get these little paintbrushes at the art section in Walmart. They're very inexpensive, but they're the perfect style brush to paint that grout joint with. Now again, this particular grout joint right now is a dark green, as the cementitious paint would be darker, uncured. Notice the color on his hand there. It's dried right there. See how it's lightened up? It's not dark green anymore. It's typical of cement mixes to be that way. Again, that's a dark green. It doesn't look anything like the grout that we have on the other areas of the river rock column. But as soon as he's done painting this, I pan over to the other side, and you'll see it drying. I mean, it's drying in minutes in this particular application. On a colder day, it might take an hour or two. But nevertheless, wet on wet is the best, and it's covering over that lighter gray caulk. And again, covering up screw holes. What you're trying to do is to cover up any of the caulking. The caulking should have covered up any of the screw holes and the joint itself. Then you're tasked with the Hydrocele to cover up that gray caulking look, because it's not a lighter color. Now here, notice that this is still wet right in the middle, or drying, and that seam's disappeared. Now the caulk's been applied, now the Hydrocele's over it, and look at it drying. It looks exactly the same as the surrounding grout areas. Once that grout, once the Hydrocele is dried, which could take a few minutes to a couple hours, once it's dried, you'll see us then sealing that area with the thermoplastic sealer, which is what we've sealed all the other joints in the river rock with. So there's a perfect seal to this whole thing. Okay. This is an HPV gun. It's got the thermoplastic sealer that's already cut in your kit. You just apply it, just fog on a small coat to begin with, and then hit it again. You'll see it's just a little wet there. He's not blowing on tons of this material. It doesn't take a ton, but two passes is generally what we do. And you're trying to overlap onto your non-treated areas so that you make sure you have a full seal. Now he's screwing, he just did the 2 screw holes there. If you back up the DVD, you can see that. All the little holes that we had at the bottom, the 4 of them, we've also caulked and hydrosealed those, and they need to be sealed as well. Now we're putting the caulking, which is just a white. It doesn't have to be gray, because this is going to be primered and then stained, or painted, I should say, like the rest of the house. So we're just running that caulk down the seam area. As well as he's doing the seam area, he's going to treat on this particular side the 10 countersinks where the screw holes are. Notice on the left area of this seam is what he's working right now. He's dealing with the seam where the 2 panels come together, and he's dealing with the countersinks. At any rate, the left side, you got the countersinks and the seam. The right side of this area is just countersink. But then you have the other side. So you got 4 little areas to treat here, and it doesn't take but minutes to do it. This isn't sped up, and you can run the clock on it. I don't even think it takes them a minute and a half to do this whole side. Again, this particular putty knife, if you will, it's not a putty knife. It's available at the auto supply stores. It's made for Bondo use, and it's much more flexible than anything else that you'll find at Lowe's, Home Depot, or such. It's made for fiberglass, and it works really, really well. Smooths it out, and the idea, again, this should be smoothed out to where you're not seeing it after you've primered and painted it. If you have any chips or dents from installation, if you've hit this or the column has any defect at all, the caulking is the answer. You just basically put it on there and smooth it out with the putty thing there. Works like a charm. Again, keeping a bucket of water, cleaning your tool, whether you're using your finger on the river rock or a rag on the river rock, you're keeping your tools clean. This allows you to perform a much better smoothing out process. Again, now he's treating the trim, if you will, from the column, and then going to smooth it out. I believe that's going to be the end of it. Here he'll be smoothing this out, and then you'll see him do a little bit more caulking on another column, and then we show you the final photo or video, if I will, of the finished installation. The only thing that you're not going to see done on this particular video is the primering and the painting of those square taper columns. Obviously you'd want to have that caulking dry, and fully dry, that is, and then you'd be painting over it, primer painting, and that's something that the Model Home Center is charged to do. And if you have any questions, always feel free to give us a call. Our toll-free line is 888-684-0086. I'm Jim at extension 113. I'd be happy to help you. And again, thank you for taking the time to view this DVD.